Hey guys, what's up? MurderofBirds here, and another awesome episode of RWBY for episode 2 on volume 3. We got a slew of new characters that I'm going to get into heavy detail with each one. We got 2 brand new teams, Team Bronze, Team Indigo. We got the introduction finally of Scarlet and Sage. We're going to break down all of what I learned about them and things of that nature. We got 2 fights, obviously, between Team Juniper and Team Sun. And things are looking pretty awesome going into the next episode. So, starting off, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Team Bronze. So they are from Shade, as we know, and I'm assuming Shade is from Vacuo, if we can deduce where Haven and Beacon and the students from Atlas all come from. And I gathered a little bit of information here based on the names that that I got from the credits. So I guess as the episodes go, they only credit the characters or the voice actors based on if they had any lines. So I only got 2 characters, and the other 2 we don't really know about yet. By the way, for any of you guys watching this, please let me know. I don't care. Obviously, they're not spoilers because I want to be informed on the matter. Let me know what any of these characters are based off of, like who their character designs are referenced from for Team Indigo, Team Bronze, as well as Sage and Scarlet. I have my ideas of who's who, but I don't have any internet, so I can't really go and do the research myself. So if Rooster Teeth revealed anything, if the RWBY Wiki revealed anything, let me know in the comments if you guys have that information. So, the team captain for Team Bronze, his name is Schnee. Now, I know it's not a reference or anything, but the first thing that popped into my head was the bronze kneecap from Fairly Odd Parents. I don't know if any of you guys are there with me on that one, and I don't know if the bronze kneecap himself is based off of someone known as the Bronze Knee, if that's the name they gave him. If they referenced him from the bronze kneecap in Fairly Odd Parents, that's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? But I thought that was hilarious, and I was like, did they really do that? Because the bronze kneecap, for those of you who don't know, is like a fodder villain from the old, early 2000s show of Fairly Odd Parents. He's like, I, the bronze kneecap, with my big bronze kneecap, shall blah, 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 blah. And I thought that was just really, really funny. So I think that's an awesome play on his name, like the Bronze Knee. I think that's an awesome pun in of itself. He used what looked like gauntlet bands. That's what I'm assuming. That's what I'm calling them. I don't know what the hell they were. They weren't gauntlets like what Yang or Fox have. They were literally like little metal things on the top of his hand with like a strap underneath to keep him so he can use them while he fights with his fists. And I was kind of like, that's kind of lame, which kind of leads me to believe, all of these guys had pretty, unique weapons in some case, in, some way, shape, or form. But I really think this is a fodder team who's only here really to progress the story for Team Juniper. Similar to how I don't know if Cardinal's going to be relevant anymore. They were really around in Volume 1 just to push the development for Jean. So I kind of understand that in the same sense that they're just here for the tournament basis. And because they lost. So that's the team leader, and that's the guy, I believe, who called out Team Juniper when they were having their little team meeting, their little powwow of like, hey, we're in the middle of a match. So I'm assuming that that's him. The other guy that we know of, his name is Nolan Portirio, and he's the guy that got hit by Nora when he used his, I don't know if they're cattle prods or stun sticks or something, but they produce electricity, and he was getting a few shots in on Ren, and then he went for Nora, and she just destroyed him, and I will get to that in a second. But I don't know who he's referenced or based off of. Like I said, let me know that in the comments. So those are the only 2 that we know of. The other 2, which is R and Z for Bronze, the girl with the sniper, who also, the sniper kind of had like a melee effect, I think. It had like a hook that she used to swing up on the tree. So I don't know if she uses that in any other sense. And then the other guy with the dark-skinned dude with the braids, and he kind of had like what looked like buzzsaws that he threw at Jean, and then he retracted them back and was using them to attack Pyrrha as a melee fighter. So that's basically the essence of Team Bronze. Now, in terms of the match itself, I kind of already deduced the fact that they were going to have some trouble because there was a sniper, and they had the forest advantage that I mentioned in my reaction. That they were going to give him trouble. I thought Jean's stomach was going to act up too, because he was like, oh, my stomach, because he was eating too much before the match. But everything was pretty much plainly leveled, I guess you would say, aside from the fact that the sniper was able to start picking off people. Like Ren was kind of like going 2v1 with the guy with the cattle prods or whatever they are, and getting shot at by the sniper. So it was kind of like an unfair advantage because there's no range for Team Juniper. The only range they have is really Ren, and it's kind of like med range with his machine pistols or whatever. So Nora comes through. Fucking Nora the Thunder God comes through, and we see a semblance. And this is what I was talking about in my reaction. I was like, I really want to start seeing some new development from these characters. I want to see how much they've grown, or even just reveal their semblances. So Nora is obviously based off of Thor, the Nordic god, and she's literally Thor. Like, she has the ability to produce and channel electric currents, and that's basically how she got the upper hand on Nolan, because he uses like electricity with his cattle prods or whatever. And she like destroyed him. She pretty much eviscerated the entire team after she made it to the top of the mountain, because that was basically the lightning source. But I'll go back to this because I mentioned this in Volume 2. I really think that you can deduce what a semblance is to some extent based on the character's personality. Like for Blake example, she mentioned in Volume 2 how she kind of felt like she always ran away from her problems, her situations, and she even referenced her semblance of, like, she has a shadow clone that takes the hit for her while she runs away. And I've given a few examples in the past as well. But this one, Nora, she's energetic, she's bubbly, she's sporadic, she zips everywhere, she talks like a mile a minute, and electricity, faster than, like, electricity is like that. So I feel like that complements, her semblance complements her energetic nature and her personality, which I think was super awesome. I wasn't really that surprised, but I was really glad that we got to see it right, as soon as we did. As for everybody else, Ren has been improving and becoming more prominent in the series. He's getting more lines, more dialogue. His combat we saw in this episode was pretty cool. The only other time we really saw him doing much in terms of combat was going up against the King Taijutsu in episode 1, but that was really just to explain the essence of aura and semblances and stuff like that. So, and Neith is doing a really awesome job with the voice acting, really taking the helm for Monty in terms of his character. In my reaction, I actually called Ren Monty at one point because I was just like, that's who I see. I don't see Ren, I see Monty as Ren because that was his original voice actor. And John's also improved a lot too. Thanks to Pyrrha and thanks to the training and all that stuff. And we really see it now. He's becoming a more prolific leader. He's becoming a shot caller. He was like, he was talking to Pyrrha, he's like, Pyrrha up and stuff like that, and he was just giving everybody direction, and I really, really think he's going to become a way better huntsman once he discovers his semblance, or learns it, or learns how to channel it. But for right now, I consider him more of like a warrior, like the best that any natural person can be versus someone who has a semblance and an aura. So, other than that, the entire match was pretty awesome. Obviously Team Juniper had to pick up a lot of the slack as they continued. Oh my gosh, how did I forget the flower power in the team art in the Arco shippings? Rooster Teeth has done it again, and I was talking about this. I was like, in the last episode, Team RWBY was more coordinated with their combination attacks and stuff like that, and it kind of called back to like their shipping combination attacks in Volume 2. And in this one, they did it, but they incorporated a lot more humor, like almost like Jean kind of shoehorned it in. He's like, oh, I want to be just like them. We're going to have our own team attacks and our own team names, and everyone was like, what the hell are you talking? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. And then Nora's like, flower power, like in baking. I was like, really, Nora? And then obviously the Arco situation. So they kind of brought it back again. And I'm wondering if they're going to do that with other teams. Like, because I understand, like, the RWBY fandom, like, I feel like any fandom, but mainly the RWBY fandom will ship anybody and anything. And I know there's some shippings regarding, like, Yaoi and Yuri. Like guy on guy, girl on girl, vice versa. People who've never even met each other, you're just gonna ship them and give them a name. So it'd be really awesome to see. I wonder if people will do like, in the future, maybe if Sun and Neptune are together. I believe their shipping name is Sea Monkey, like the sea for Neptune and then Monkey for Sun. So Sea Monkey is their shipping name. That'd be pretty awesome, but I really like how they really brought it back, and it was so fucking awesome to see that again. I was like, wow, they did it again. I reacted so big when I saw that. But that first matchup was really awesome. Once Nora got her thunder, I thought it was like ridiculous how she just fodderized all 4 of them in one hit. But that's why I feel like they're really fodder. I wouldn't be surprised if we see fan art, and I'd really like to see fan art so I can just like screen save it and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't know if we'll see anything canonically from this team again. So based off of this battle, I also realized that I think the opening is becoming more and more relevant now for Team Juniper. You know what I mean? Like in the opening, it showed Team Juniper and Team RWBY interlocked, and then it showed Team Juniper getting scattered. And we know that they have, Cinder has something in store for Pyrrha because Mercury was able to, do recon work and understand her semblance, and they added her to a list. And they're watching these fights, and now they know Nora's semblance. So now they know Pyrrha's semblance and they know Nora's semblance. So they could basically have countermeasures to deal with these two. We don't know what Ren's semblance is, and he's really lethargic. He's really stoic. He's the opposite of Nora, but I don't know what the opposite of electricity would be. Maybe like time dilution or something that's like, maybe he makes his enemies slow or reduces their reaction time or something, but I'm speculating. This is all conjecture. And then we have no idea. I can't even tell you what Jean's would be. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like a defensive mechanism, because when he got punched by never mind. That was his aura protecting him. So I have no idea what his semblance could be. But they're doing recon work, and they're in the audience, and they're watching from a distance, and they're keeping up appearances, so I'm assuming that eventually they're going to find out Jean's semblance and Ren's semblance and be able to completely counteract anything that Team Juniper brings to the table if they end up having to fight them. So from there, we move on to the Qrow Bar. Fucking awesome bar name, you know what I mean? Like, Qrow's there, it's a bar, and then it had the 2 Qrow bars at the top. Freaking Qrow's just getting sauced, dude. This guy's straight up gone. He's just drinking. He's talking crap about the TV and who's fighting. And then the ship goes by, and I'm assuming he's waiting for Winter. And I mentioned, I'm like, okay, these two must not get along with each other. They must have history if they're arguing and fighting and stuff. And in the opening, you see it too, that they don't get along. So I think Qrow's going to antagonize Winter, or he's going to provoke her into the little skirmish that they're going to have probably in the next episode. And then, oh my gosh, I completely forgot. Qrow's voice is done by the dude, Vic Magagna. I probably butchered that. But the dude who does Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. I flipped the fuck out when I was rewatching this episode and when I was gathering information to this review. I love Full Metal Alchemist. And it's fucking amazing. I was like, oh my god, they got such a good voice actor to do this dude. And this makes me love Qrow even more. I already had an affinity for him because of Monty and then basically his mystique, and I want to know more about him. But now, based on his voice, I fucking love Qrow. You know what I mean? And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Qrow has in store for the next episode. So, moving on from there, getting into the next matchup and stuff like that as things go on, we have Team Indigo going up against Team Sun. Now, Team Indigo is also from Shade, so I'm wondering if they have any type of relationship with Team Bronze, or if they're, again, just a fodder team to push the story for Team Sun to go further into the tournament. All-girls team, and again, we only got credit for 2 of the characters within that team, and the other 2, we don't know their names or anything. So, the first one is Nebula Violetta, and she's the girl with the purple hair who was using the crossbow sword that was going up against Scarlet. Really awesome. I think their fight was the most evenly matched. They were both going back and forth, and then Scarlet got the upper hand and knocked her into the water. The second character that we got out of Team Indigo is Do Gale, and I believe that's the girl who was the one with the spear and who went up against Sage, which I will talk about Sage in a second, because I have a few things I want to say about that. But she has the spear, and I don't know if it's her semblance or if it's based on her weapon, but she was able to create these hurricanes, or these tornadoes rather, to create the sandstorm that brushed Sage out of the match, or again when it was in the water when she was going up against Sun. Now, I literally have no idea if that, if it's her semblance or if it has to do with the weapon itself. We'll only have to wait and see if they come back or if they're not anything fodder. And then the other 2 weren't really expressed that much. We didn't get their names or anything. But one girl, the girl with the red hair, I don't know if any of you guys watch the show Fairy Tail. I don't watch it, but my brother does, and I notice a few characters here and there. The girl with the red hair looks like Urza Scarlet from Fairy Tail. The girl with the red hair who's on Team Fairy Tail or whatever. If any of you guys watch anime, and if any of you guys have seen that, that's what she reminded me of. She uses a sword that I guess is imbued with dust for fire elements, because it's basically like a fire sword. And then the other girl uses dust knives and stuff like that, and she kind of got the upper, Scarlet got the upper hand on her as well at one point. So those are the only 2 characters, and one of those 2 is the team leader. I don't know if it's the girl with the red hair or the girl with the knives. So, and then on top of that, going a little bit more in depth with the characters, we got Scarlet David, which we found out his full name, and Sage Ayana. So those are the last 2 members that we finally know their full names from Team Sun. Scarlet uses a sword and a pistol, which also has a detachable grapple hook underneath it. Now, and he's voiced by Gavin Free, which I was so stoked. I was like, wow, Gavin's in this freaking anime now, so it's super awesome. So, I already mentioned to you guys that I don't know who any of these characters are based off of or reference from. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and if I'm completely wrong, then I'm wrong. There was one scene in particular that threw me off and kind of got my mind going in a particular spot, when Scarlet got knocked into the hurricanes, whatever, and got launched all the way to the pirate boat. When he was in the air, he like had his arms out and he was like soaring towards the pirate boat. I instantly thought Peter Pan. I was like, is he based off Peter Pan? Like, that just gave me a Peter Pan vibe, like of Peter like flying, soaring through the skies, like, you know, with Tinkerbell and all that stuff and the Lost Boys. And I was like, is that Peter Pan? And then I stopped. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, never mind, whatever. And at the time of my reaction, I wasn't thinking about this because I heard him like, ah! So I thought, I was like, oh my god. So I instantly realized that it was Gavin voice acting for him. But then I started thinking, I was like, well, he comes off as a bit of a pirate. You know, he has like the skimmy and then he has the pistol and stuff like that. And he's on a ship, so it kind of fit the setting and the narrative. And then I started thinking, I'm like, what if he's based off of Captain Hook? And you guys are probably like, well, what the hell? He's Captain Hook. He's known for his hook. There's a grapple hook underneath the pistol. And, you know, usually pirates, you know, he was on a ship and he had a sword, he had a pistol. And I was just like, and he's red, you know, he's Scarlet, he has the red. I don't know if Scarlet David is like reference to any names of anyone in history or any myths or fairy tales, whatever. But based on the fact that he was flying like Peter Pan, that gave me the Peter Pan mentality. And then it kind of trickled down from Peter Pan to Captain Hook, who's also within that universe, of like, maybe he's based off of Captain Hook. But that's a stretch, you know what I mean? This is all conjecture. This is I'm nitpicking at this point. So if any of you guys are like, you're an idiot, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, take it with a grain of salt, please. Just because, you know, that's basically what I'm thinking, because I have nothing else to go off of here. So from there, and then we got Sage, who uses a claymore. I noticed the claymore has like markings on it, and he also has like tattoo markings on his neck, and there's some like, I don't know if they're Roman numerals on the sword, so I don't know if the sword has any type of hidden properties. Or if it's in correlation to his semblance, or if those are some things that eventually will have the sword transform or anything. So those are the two things that I basically picked from these two characters. The whole matchup was pretty awesome. I personally enjoyed Team Sun versus Indigo more than Juniper versus Bronze. I thought the matchups were a lot more even. It was a lot more dynamic. There was different battles going on every which way. And, okay, so the terrain, so one side was desert, one side was ocean, and I flipped out when Neptune, a character based off of the god of the sea, is afraid of water. Like, I wasn't pissed off, I thought that was super funny. I was like, are you serious? He's based off the god of the ocean, you know what I mean? So, I just thought that was really, really funny, and how he was kind of basically trying to dodge the question when you know, Sun was like, I know you're afraid of water. He's like, I'm not afraid of water, and I don't know what you are talking about. Actually, on top of that, I really want to commend Kerry Shawcross as well as Michael Jones. They did phenomenal voice acting this episode, and it kind of made me appreciate and like their characters a lot more, especially Michael with Sun. Like, he was like really in a desperation. He's like, dude, Neptune, help us do something. And I was like, wow, Michael is putting a lot of effort into this voice acting. So really, really enjoyed that as well. Also, you know, like I mentioned, we got the humor from Team Juniper with the team attacks, and then we got the humor again this time around with Neptune skipping around the fact that he doesn't like water. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I will give credit to Neptune because he was helping here and there, and the fact that he had the advantage in the desert because he had his goggles when Dew was making those sandstorms. So I thought that was pretty cool too. And another thing, the whole desert scenario, Dew mentioned that they had home turf, and Sun also mentioned that that's his home turf too. So I'm assuming that the territories within Vacuo are like desert-like, based off of what also they shown in the first episode when they were showing the different territories and the different environments of the other kingdoms. You had like those faunists that were outside in the desert area watching under like an awning next to like an RV. So I'm wondering if that was Vacuo. But that's pretty cool. It's really interesting to see, to get a better understanding of the environment and the livelihood and the style that, you know, Sun was born from, and also this team. So there's one thing I want to talk about, and I know I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but whatever. I'm really disappointed in Sage. You know, I feel like at this point, Rooster Teeth is pulling us on a, they're teasing us at this point. You know what I mean? Like, we got teased from Neptune in the opening, and we got teased by him He was in the one episode off to the side in Volume 2, and now he's actually in an episode, and he just gets fodderized right at the beginning, you know what I mean? So I was really looking forward to see what he can do. I respect a lot of these characters who are established and prominent already, but I just love the fact of getting to know new characters, dissecting new characters, understanding, the synergy and the combat and everything, their semblances and who they're based off of and all that stuff. And I was just really let down by Sage, because Scarlet, we got Scarlet, and I'm really happy about that. He's voiced by Gavin and all that other stuff, and I'm really, nitpicking a lot of things with him. But for Sage, it's like we still have to wait, so eventually, hopefully, they nominate Sage to go to the next round so I can see them, so I can see more of what he can do, even though it was really Sun and Neptune who pulled through for their team in the end. But ultimately, that's basically all I had to talk about. There was a little bit of inference that Black Sun is being a thing. Freaking Blake was, getting really girly and all that stuff when Sun was like, hey, you know what I mean? So, and they're both fun. I really like that shipping as well. But the big hype in the next episode, winter is coming, and I'm pretty sure everybody and their mother has already been talking about that. I know it's a Game of Thrones reference, I'm assuming, but winter is coming. Weiss's sister is, dropping in, I'm assuming, and Weiss was like, oh, she's here. Based on the facial recognition, based on like her expression, I didn't know if she was happy or if she was sad that her sister's around, and she was kind of avoiding her sister and her dad in Volume 2 when she like contacted the headquarters of the Schnee Dust Company. But yeah, so that's everything that I gathered from this episode. It's a really long review, so I apologize for those of you who are just like, but if you guys, it's what a review's all about. That's what I'm all about with my reviews. I nitpick, I grasp every little piece that I can and make it relevant to some degree of what might be happening in the future. So, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Leave your thoughts of what you guys thought about the episode, my reactions, anything that I said, or anything that I said that you probably, bounce ideas off of one another. That's what we're all about here. And I will be getting back to you guys with episode 3 very soon. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.